Here is our update for week 2 from Subteam 2.
Alright, so for our goals for this week, testing control board electronics, that's roughly at 2% since only so electronics came in, so we can't really test it fully. For start developing Gerbil HAL and Universal G-Code Center plugins, roughly 2%, again, just testing that they're working, how to develop them. Finalizing parts to order, that's at 80%, so we are almost done with that, and hopefully we should have almost the full list done by the end of today or tomorrow. Finalizing the code for machine analysis, it should be almost there. The only thing we're really waiting on is strain gauges, but other than that, should be all set. Begin sensor installation, so we started that, but have yet to mount most of our sensors. We've completed most of the experimental procedure document for other subteams to use. We haven't been able to do any of our initial testing yet because we're waiting on all the parts and code electronics and all that. And then for our B-term deliverables, the tool changer code is currently at 0%. The tool changer electronics is currently at 0%. Collecting data of the old machine is currently at 0%, and collecting data in the new machine is currently at 0%.
As for our subteam accomplishments, we mounted the strain gauge to the front of the bed. We determined the strain gauge measurement method, and when we mounted the strain gauge, we used solid wire instead of stranded wire, so we will be purchasing stranded wire to mount the rest of the strain gauges. And we will need an amplifier for the strain gauge as we are not seeing a measurable voltage change on our testing that we have done to make sure the strain gauge is working.
Our goals for this next week are to test some of the control board electronics, work on some of our B-term deliverables, which are developing the tool changer code and collecting some machine data. We're going to be working a lot more on strain gauges in this coming week, making sure we have that set up and we have everything appropriate. Go on to our individual accomplishments.
So this week I made 3 updates and I worked 4 individual hours and 7.5 group hours. I worked on strain gauge calculation research and measured the strain gauges. I met with Subteam 1 to discuss the experimental testing and hear any questions they had, concerns, suggestions. I worked on updating the experimental procedure, and I worked to design the accelerometer mount for the bed, which will require redesign this week.
Alright, so for my accomplishments, so I worked a total of 12 hours individual, 4 hours with my sub-team and the whole team, and 6 hours of updates. So most of my time was trying to figure out how to make a plugin for Universal G-Code Sender. And so with that, I was trying to make it a window for Universal G-Code Center to accept, and also how to manage external libraries since they didn't come pre-downloaded with the plugin that I developed. So as of right now, I'm able to make a plugin for it, be able to import external libraries that are needed, so I can start developing the plugins for that. And then for the vibrational experiment codes, I added the ability to see the speed of the spindle by adding the IR module, and I set up a dual core system, so now we are able to print readings roughly every 3 milliseconds. And then I was also able to make sure that that Gerbil HAL would work with the Raspberry Pi Pico. So I was able to quickly get that set up and compiled and built on the machine, and so we know that that works and it doesn't have any issues there as of yet. But still need to test it with the actual control board when it comes in.
All right. I worked 5.5 hours individually and 5.5 as a group. As you can see on the right, I plotted out the strain gauge matrix schematic. It has room for 16. I don't think we're going to be using 16, but we have 4 digits of signal input, and I can differentiate between the 16 other inputs. This signal will go through a load resistor into this amplifier, to amplify the voltage so that it's easier to read, is the problem we've been having. And then this will be connected to the rest of the machine as well as this end. I haven't gotten quite that far yet. Been working on compiling a sensor purchasing list. I have the like 80% down, and I just need to transfer all those to the main document. We've been doing research on which ones would be best for each use case, and also worked with my sub-team on the physical installation of some of the strain gauges and working through what we need to do to accomplish that. All right. Let us know if you have any questions about anything we said here.